Okay, I'm going to go over switch technology, and I'm going to do the flowchart, the problem statement in one fell swoop, because by now you should be able to do most of this yourself without much of video help. So here's the problem that we have right here, and this is the problem statement. So you can see that we have 4 different prices for 4 different toys, and at the end they want a printout showing the child's name, favorite toy, and the value of that toy. So we open up Notepad++, and we start with the bottom, child's name, toy type, toy value. Child name has to be input, so we place it up here. The toy type also has to be told to us, so we put that up there. So toy value is the only thing that we're looking for within our calculation of logic. There's no math here, so this is all going to be logic. And the toy value depends on the type of toy it is. Notice also that we place in here the values that we want a person to type in to make sure that these match what our decisions are. And when we do our prompt here, we will tell them ball, frisbee, doll, truck. We don't want to just say toy type. What toy type? Question mark. Because if they type in Whammo frisbee or they put in fire truck, then that's not going to be a match for down here. And so we want to tell them exactly what it is that we want them to type in, and you want to do that anytime you have or doing a decision where you're expecting a person to type in values. You need to tell them what those values are. And then we just did the if. Now, which one we started with doesn't make a difference here because we're not looking for the biggest discount or the highest markup. All we're looking is a one-to-one match. So we could have started with frisbee or doll or truck, but we started with ball, just in the order in which it shows up here. But that's not important either because the user doesn't see any of this right here. So all it does is come down and match it. There's nothing to do with switch. You will never see switch in your problem statement because we don't want to have to sit down with our toy store to explain what switch is. So we'll always use if, else if whenever we're going to be using a problem statement. Same goes with the flow chart. So the flow chart, we do the same thing. We take our constants, we put them into assignments. Then we do our inputs. And again, when we do our input, I'm going to always show the values I want the user to use when they're inputting that information. And then we're going to do an if, else if. And again, we do the problem, we do the build and test methodology. The first thing I would do is put in all this, put in our output, and then build our first test, which would be ball. And then I would test to see if ball works. If ball works, then I would copy this. Well, I would copy that, paste it to the false side, and then change it to frisbee. Test frisbee. Then copy these two, paste it over here, and then change frisbee to doll. And then once I've tested doll, copy and paste it over here, and then I test truck. So again, the flowchart for switch does not change anything. So let's go ahead and I didn't know I was going to get this far. Let's go ahead and code it out. And I'm going to pause this for. All right, so here's the code that is bad. Actually, it works absolutely perfectly. If I was going to go ahead and preview this right here, you can see that Susie, she likes the doll. That's working absolutely perfectly. If I tested the rest, it worked perfectly. A lot of parentheses and lots of braces on here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to recode this instead of using if, else if, I'm going to use switch. So I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of this already so you can see how that works. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to say switch tool type, toy type. And I guess I can get rid of all this. I don't know what the equal is. All right, so that's that. And let me go ahead and move everything over so we can go ahead and see what it looks like with our problem statement. Then I do a start switch. and then I do an end switch. Always do these in pairs so you don't forget that end switch. And actually, yeah, so this is where the switch starts. It says, I want you to start comparing whatever's in toy type, whatever they put in here, with these values. And then we tab over a little bit, not that much. And we do case. And we do case, and the first one is, let's case ball. And then we do a colon. So this is right here one of the problems students have. They want to put a semicolon there. If you do, you break your code. That's a colon saying that whatever comes after this is what we want to do if it matches ball. And we'll pick over a little bit. And what we want to do is we want to put in this. Control C, Control V, and then a semicolon. Whoops. And then a break. So the break is like a closed brace, but it's a lot more apparent. So the problem students have is students always want to do this, and that's wrong. It's just case ball. And again, they want to put a semicolon at the end of that. Once we get this first one done, Control C, I come down here, do Control V, and now I just change this to Frisbee. So I'll just copy Frisbee, Control C, Control V, Control V. If I do a good job of naming my variables, this becomes a very easy to code. Control C. Whoops. A little space there. Control V. And now this will be doll. So I'll just Control C. Again, I'm doing copy and paste. I'm doing build and test. Well, I'm not doing build and test actually. Should be doing that. All right, so bad on me. I should have went ahead and I tested ball already, Control C. So what I'm going to do is, let me move this over. Not enough room. Move this over and move this out. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, that's the problem with this one is that too hard getting over here, Control V. Okay, now if I preview it, Susie likes a Frisbee, and you can see it's $3. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is doll. Control C, Control V, and Susie likes a doll, and that's $10. Okay, so we do our last one here. Again, I'll copy this, Control C, Control V, and then grab the truck, Control C, Control V. Can't believe I wasn't doing build and test. I was just building. You don't want to ever do that. It's very very easy to do to get caught up in getting things coded. But if you build and test, as soon as something goes wrong, it's the last thing you did that caused the problem. And now Susie and truck. So you can see that I probably should have kept the old code. Look at all the braces that are missing from here. We only have one set of braces. And that really is going to make your life a lot easier because we found with using if, else if, those braces can get really complicated and very difficult. The thing about switch is we can only use switch when we're looking in one place in memory for a certain value. If we have it where it's looking for contract equals yes, and it's looking for the amount over 1,000, we can't use case for that because that's looking in different places in memory for different values. And you don't want to do a bunch of switches just to see if that works. Again, switch, students love switch because look how easy it is to code and how obvious everything is. If you don't put an equal sign here and don't put a semicolon there, there's not much you can do wrong. The other thing is that students tend to forget this last break. So if you use my methodology of build and test and build your first case and test it and then copy and paste it the rest of the way down, you'll never forget that last break. So that's it. So you can see how easy this is. That ends this one. The next thing we're going to do is in the next lesson is say, well, what happens if the person typing this in put 3 L's in ball or put a capital F in frisbee? We would have a problem because, well, it would break our code. And we're going to do that in the next lesson, figure out how we can do something called error checking and error trapping. But this ends this lesson.